Right, so we've been working on the implementing the assignment. We took a look at creating several web services that listen for incoming requests from the client, and from the client we're posting and putting and deleting content for users, for websites, and I think it's enough for you to extrapolate those notions and complete the various web services for the rest of the domain model. Okay, so I'd like to focus on a couple of other aspects of the assignment. One of them is dealing with being able to upload images. Okay, that's we're going to be enhancing the image widget so that you can upload your own images from your own computer. Right. Currently, right now, the image widget that you worked on last week, you should have been able to copy a URL from anywhere on the internet, right, from your browser, and paste that URL onto the widget, the image widget. Correct? That's what we worked on last week. So this week we're going to enhance that so that folks can, instead of copying from an existing location on the internet, they'll be able to upload their own images from their local file system. Okay, and for that purpose, we're giving you some code to get you started. We're going to be using a library called Multer, which allows you to, in one of many things, allows you to handle file upload. There's quite a few other libraries out there, some better, some worse than Multer. If you have a preferable library that you've already worked on, then use that instead. There's a nice one, very advanced one. That allows you to do all sorts of image manipulation and rotations and scaling and all sorts of things, right? But this one is pretty simple, and we're going to be use Multer for the assignment. But again, feel free to use any other library that you might have come across. So to implement this, we're going to enhance the editor, the image widget editor, right? We're going to add this form elements. Okay, this form element, notice that it has the attribute action. The attribute action says that if this form is submitted, that's where this is where the information in this form will be submitted to the server. So this is a form that gets downloaded to the client. The client is looking at it in their own browser. They can use this form to browse through their file system, select an image, and then submit. Click on the submit button, and then this form will tell the browser to start streaming the image over to the server. The server needs to be listening at this particular endpoint. Okay, listening at a post. So what this form element is going to do is create a post request, and it's going to stream whatever file you've chosen using this input field of type file. Right, for last assignment, we added we were using an input field of type file, right? But it was a dummy one. It wasn't doing really anything, right? It only allowed you to navigate to the file system. This time around, we're going to enhance it so that it actually starts streaming that to the server. Make sense? Right? So this is what it's going to generate on the client side. Right? On the server side, we need to be ready to listen for that incoming request. Right? So from the server, we're going to create this endpoint, this web service endpoint, that is going to listen for that incoming post, and what it's going to do, it's going to be intercepted by this function here that is going to be configured by Multer. Multer is going to we're going to load the Multer library. We're going to use Multer to configure the location of where we want to drop those files. Right, where should those files be dropped, and then notify us when the upload has completed. Right. Call this function when it has completed, and from that function we'll be able to see some meta information of what happened. Right, where did the file end up? Right, what size is it? What MIME type is it? What file type did they just upload? So from that metadata we can look at the original file name, right? The original name of the file when it was uploaded, selected from the user. It gets uploaded to this directory, the uploads directory, wherever you want to put it in your assignment. But since it's one single directory, and presumably this application might be used by thousands of users, It is conceivable that two people might be uploading the same exact file name. Yes. So that's why Multer renames the files. Right. When the file gets uploaded, it renames it with a unique identifier, so that you won't have two files, one file overriding another file. Make sense? So it just uniquely identifies the file. And that's why it has the original file name distinguished with the current file name after it has been renamed. Make sense? Right? What we need to do is manipulate our widget, right? Our widget in our array of widgets. We need to find that widget by ID. Once we have that widget ID, we can update its URL. Right? The URL is going to be a URL that needs to map to a file that lives in the same server, right? It's not, it's not an absolute URL that goes out to somewhere on the internet. Instead, it's a URL that references a file that lives on the same server. Correct? So it needs to be a relative file, right? A relative URL that references files on the same server. And then it goes back to the server, it goes back to the client saying, "Hey, I'm done. The widget has been updated," and then we refresh the client. Make sense? All right. So that's the strategy. Let's see if we can play around with that. All right. So let's see. So we have here the widget editor. It's not much. I don't believe we did much with it. We just have the editor. Notice that it's still in its infancy, right? It's still a full-blown HTML document, right? It's not even a view. So we'll need to fix that. Probably we'll need to also reference it in the config file. We'll need to configure it so that we can navigate to it, right? Presumably you can navigate from the list of widgets, correct? And when you click on the editor of the image widget, you navigate to this particular template. So let's start there, right? I think we did complete the widget list. Let's see where we are with that. Okay, so for that, if we go to assignments, undergraduate, index, we probably created already the website's widget. There it is, right? So this I believe we had completed, and it was the list of widgets. The list of widgets. And that image is not loading. I'm not sure why. That's fine, doesn't matter. What we're really interested is that we want to navigate to the editor by clicking on this cog. Yes? Right? And that, I presume you've done that already in assignment 2. Okay? I haven't completed it, so I'm going to have to cheat a little bit, right? Because I don't have all the infrastructure that you might have completed in your assignment. So first of all, we'll need to create a link out of this cog, right? That's going to navigate us to that editor. So if we get to widget list, it's this one right here, and if we go to the cog, it's this one. Oh, I see why it's broken, right? We were in the midst of changing this, right, from a switch to an include. Right? Remember we just finished that up last week. Let me revive our previous solution. Maybe that'll fix it. No, still. Right, it looks like okay, so it looks like that we fixed. So this is the image. The image widget for some reason is broken. I'm not going to work on that. What I'm going to fix here is that cog right here, okay? Right, so I can navigate to my editor. And I believe that cog is right here. Let's make a hyperlink out of it. So there's a hyperlink, not pointing to anything in particular. I'm going to cheat, and I'm just going to navigate to the image editor. Okay, so we want to do something like hash bang image or widget, and then the ID of that widget. Okay, and I'm going to map this bogus URL. Right, I'm going to map it in a config file to just load this one image editor. Okay? All right, everybody okay? All right, so let's go with config, and I'm going to route. I'm undergrad, right? Yes. I'm going to route if I see that URL. then I am going to navigate to the URL of views, widget, templates, and then what do we call it? Widget image editor. Widget image editor. Okay, let's see if that works. If we now click on this, it navigates to the editor. There it is, right? This is what we had last week. Okay, which you have completed for the assignment number 3. Yes. All right. So there it is. So it's this one. We are now in this HTML file. I'm going to remove what I don't need here, right? So make it a real view as opposed to a full-blown HTML document. I'm going to refresh. Okay, we're still here. Okay, so this is what you worked on last week, right? Being able to choose, but really this file upload is really not doing anything right now, right? It just allows you to navigate to it, to a file. So let's replace that what we give you in the assignments to get you started. Let's copy that. And let's look for that file upload. Okay, this is the file upload. I'm going to replace that file upload with my form. There it is. And if you'll notice here, we have here, let's see, we have a couple of things here. We have the file upload form, right? So if we refresh, notice it has changed a little bit. It's this new button that we created, and the file upload it's the same as before. Okay, so it's this. So this is the button, and this is the button, and this is the input field. Everything else here, right? All these other input fields. Notice that I made them all display none. See that? Meaning this is information that I want to include in the submission, right? But I don't want to actually display it for the user, right? This is all metadata that I want to pass to the server, right? But I don't necessarily want to display it to the user, right? So meaning when it submits, I want to pass the width of the widget, perhaps who the user is, the website ID, the page ID, the widget ID. I don't really need any of this. So maybe you will in your assignment. I'm just going to remove it just to keep it simple. Okay. What I probably do need is the widget ID, and let's see. Do we map this to any elements? No, we didn't. Okay. So I'm going to hard code this. I'm going to hard code this with a value. Do we have a widget ID that we would like? Maybe 321. So I'm going to hard code this to be 321. The controller would give me this, yes? The controller would fill this in with an actual value of 321. Everybody okay? Right? Which would be read from the URL parameter, right? And that we know how to do that from last week. Okay. So we want to now upload, right? We want to upload that, and if we inspect the console, and we actually choose if we submit the form, notice that it's going to go out to the server to this particular API/upload URL, right? But nobody's actually listening on the server, right? We haven't configured any route to actually listen for this incoming URL, right? So we'll need to do that on the server, right? Now, because I have two classes going on, the undergrads and the grad, I'm going to distinguish this API URL, right, to know that this is the undergrad version of this solution. I'm going to put here assignment, and I'm going to say that this is undergrad. Okay, so if I go back and I refresh and I upload, I still have no one listening at that URL. Right, so let's go move over to the server side and fix that. Okay. All right. So to do that, we do give you to get you started on that. We give you some code to work with, right? Which we can copy onto the server side. So presumably there will be a widget service listening for this incoming request, correct? Which you should have already implemented. No, actually, no, not yet. Right, the server side of the widget you haven't worked on, right? You worked on the client side of the service, but I'm sure you're already working on that for assignment number 4, right? Creating all these server side services, right? I already got you started with the user service server.js, right? I believe I got you started also with the website service server.js, correct? You need to work on the page version and on the widget version, okay? So I'm going to get you started just on the widget version of the service side, yes? All right. So for that, you would implement it here, right? On the assignment, undergrads, under the services. So I got you started on those two. I'm gonna get you started also on the widget service, right? So this would be widget.service.server.js. In this file, you would create all the CRUD operations for manipulating the widgets, correct? The array of the widgets would live here, right? All the posts, the puts, the gets, the deletes, to be able to create, remove, find all the widgets, right? They would all live here, correct? Right? All the CRUD operations that we've been implementing for the users. We started with the websites. They would live here, but for the widgets. Everybody okay? Right? What I'm going to do, I'm going to copy this piece of code. I'm going to copy this piece of code, and I'm just going to paste it here. This implementation I'm giving you was dependent on a function so that it could receive an instance of the app, right, which is the Express instance, correct? But as we saw in the implementation for the other services, we have a better way of doing that, right? We can load it right from a local instance of the Express, correct? So I'm going to use this strategy better. Right, so I'm going to remove this function. I'm not going to need it. I'm going to remove the function. Instead, I am going to just load app. Right? I created this little utility, right, that wraps excuse me, wraps the Express instance into this one singleton. Right? So that I don't have to instantiate it and then pass it around, which is very, very inconvenient. Right? I have it instantiated in one single place. Everybody okay? All right. There we go. Right, so now I have app. I have app. Is it the right place? Is it in the right place? Yes, it is. Right. This is the little singleton. Right. It creates an instance of app of Express, and then it just exports it as a global variable so that I can grab it from anybody who requires this file. All right. All right. So here's Malter. Malter is going to be the library we're going to be using for accepting uploaded files. We need to require it. It's a library that you need to install, right, using npm install malter, right, and don't forget to do -- save. Otherwise, it'll work locally on your machine, but it won't work remotely when you deploy it on Heroku or wherever you're hosting your assignment or your project. Okay, I've already done this, and what it does is it installs it in a Node module. So malter should be somewhere here. There it is, malter. And the -- save made sure to make an entry in the package JSON. Right, there it is, malter. Okay? If you don't do the -- save, it won't make this entry point, right? And then it will fail when you deploy it in Heroku. So don't forget the -- save. All right, so that deploys it. Then we need to create an instance of malter and configure where is the destination of when we start streaming files, right? When we start posting images or any file, not just images, we need to tell it where to copy, where to stream it to locally on the server. All right? It's using a global variable. Dir name is the current absolute path of the file that I am currently in. Right? This is the directory where I'm in, which happens to be this directory right here, services. Okay? Right, so it's wherever this is, NU, webdev, something, webdev, assignment, undergrad, services, and wherever this file lives, that's dir name. Everybody okay? That's a global variable that is created by Node.js when it starts up. Okay, and then from there, I'm going to navigate to the directory where I actually want to store my local files. Yes? Right, so that file, that directory, we're going to put it under, let's see, under undergrads, and I'm going to create a directory here, and I'm going to call it uploads. Notice that I'm putting it under undergrads, under assignment, under public. See that? It needs to be under public, right? Because someone is going to have to come get these images from the browser, right? And the browser can only go fetch things that are publicly available on the web, right? So anything that we put on the public directory is by definition public. So we are going to put it under assignments, undergrad, public directory, right? So we need to tell Malter that that's exactly where we want to put it. So right here, okay? Let's see if this is correct. So local directory, we are here on the services. We need to go up 1, we need to go up 2, we need to go up 3, and then down to public, down to assignment, down to undergrads, and then down to uploads. Make sense? All right, so let's do that. Let's do that. Let's go up 3 times. Then go down into public, go down into assignment. Is that right? Assignment. And then undergrad, undergraduate, undergraduate. English is not my first language. Sorry. So assignment, undergraduate, and then uploads. That looks right. Right, that looks right. So that's where we want to put our files. Currently, it is empty. As you can see, it's empty. There's nothing in there. Let's see what else we got here. So this is where it's going to come in, right? If we post to API upload. Actually, no, we changed this, right? We changed this this post. It's actually where it's going to go. It's this, right? API assignment undergrad upload. So API assignment undergrad upload. Yes? Notice that this has absolutely nothing to do with this. Yes? Right? This is a virtual path, right? That we're listening for the incoming request coming from the client. Correct? We're just listening to that HTTP request come in. So if it comes in here, notice that here we are parsing out of the body. We're parsing some elements, some attributes here. See that? Some properties, and they're coming directly from elements that we have here in the form. Any of the value input fields, right, that have a value, okay, those will all be available in the body. Right, will be all encoded inside of the body of the incoming request. So, for instance, widget ID, right, we can retrieve from the body as widget ID, right? And the width, we can also pass the width, I guess. You can say width. You can say 100%. You can hard code it like this, or you can tie it to the model, right? The controller can provide this as a model, correct? So that's going to be available right here on the width. So these names, they have to match, right? These have to match from the body. Make sense? Right? The other field, the other input field here is not a text field. These are all text fields, right? These are all by default. These are all text fields, right? This one is not a text field. It's a type file. See that? So that's completely different. It's not going to be part of the body. Instead, it's going to be available as off of the request in an attribute called file. Okay? And locally, I am just referring to it as the file object. I am not passing the user object ID. I'm not passing the website ID. I'm not passing the page ID. If I were, it would be available here. So I'm going to remove that. So now for my local file, I can ask it, what was your original file name? Well, that'd be good to know and store it in my database, perhaps, right? If I want to display it as a list of files, right, that have been uploaded for user consumption. What is the new name of the file once it has been uploaded? Where is it physically located on the file system, on the local file system? Its size and also its MIME type, right? Because the new file name is going to be some gibberish unique name. It's also not going to have an extension, right? So if it was originally JPEG or PDF or whatever, it's going to lose the extension, right? Again, we don't want to override any existing file, right? But you can always recover what was its original MIME type, right? So if you need to stream it back to the client, you know exactly how to encode it, Okay, right? What else? Here I have this get widget by ID. I don't really have a model for a widget here, but typically what you would do would have a local function that would iterate over the array of widgets, right? You know, retrieve the widget objects, right, so that you can update its URL attribute, correct? Right? Its physical location of the file will actually be this. This is the physical location of that file. Right? Assignment, undergrad, public, uploads, slash, and the file name. Right? That is the physical location of the file with reference to the root of the context of the where the server is loaded. Then this callback was going to allow us to, since we posted to the server, we left our index page. We're no longer in the index page, right? But we really never wanted to leave, right? Because it's a single page application. We typically would like to maybe, perhaps, upload the image and then show, right? Show the on the client, our brand new image that we just uploaded, right? So that we can maybe say okay, or maybe do some additional manipulation with the image, or or tag folks on the photo or whatever. To go back. What we want to go back is to this location right here. This is the location where we want to go. Right? That would put us back in the editor, correct? Right. So what this callback is going to redirect to that exact location where we just left. Okay. The ID here presumably is going to be from the ID that we came back as an argument. Right? And that redirects us to the original page where we were. Okay, let's see. All right, let's try it out. Let's restart the server. Actually, no, this widget service, we created the service. We need to register it with our entry point, right? Here we're registering all our services are here. Let's load now that new widget service. There it is. Let's see. Let's restart the server. Okay, it didn't crash. That's promising. Let's reload this, and let's actually submit something, right? Let's choose a file. Let's see, from the desktop. What's this? Sure, some error message. Open, right? And if we clear this and we look at the network, clear the network, and we upload, it gave us a 500. Okay, all right. But at least we hit the. Looks like we hit the server. Let's go back to the server. Let's see what it complained about. It says widget is not defined. Widget is not defined. And as always, the computer's right. There is no widget object, right? But it made it to the server. Yes, we got here. We can initialize just a local widget object, which is some empty object. But if we got here, if we got to this point, that means that file was successfully uploaded. Let's look at under our uploads directory. It looks like there's something in there. There it is. That's the image. That's the original object or file that we uploaded. Notice that it has used a GUID, a unique identifier, and lost the extension. We can actually print out my file. We can print out the file. Console log my file, just to look at all the meta information that is provided for us, right? So let's try that again. Let's restart this, and let's go back. Okay. Hello. Okay, where was I? Let's upload yet another image. Sure, that looks pretty. Let's upload. Okay, notice that it flickered and it came back, right? And we'll see that what actually got sent over. Did we generate the post? We are in the network. There's the upload, and that's the upload that went out. Notice that it was a post, right? and we can see that it was encoded, and it's in the format in the form format that includes the image that's being uploaded plus the form data of the widget ID and the widget and the width. See that? And on the server side, we see that indeed we can see that this is what came. Is that what I sent? A zip file? Oh, I guess so. App cleaner. Okay. So the field name was my file. The original file name was something 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 .zip. All right. 7-bit encoding application was a zip file. There's the MIME type, the destination. Notice that it shows you exactly where it ended up. Right. It tells you the location, the file location. Right. So if you ever need to, maybe you want to rename it, maybe you want to copy it somewhere. Right. Maybe you have some scrubbing software, right, to make sure that it doesn't have any viruses or whatever, right? You know exactly where it is, and you can run some processes. Maybe you can reprocess it, maybe resize it to a smaller to a thumbnail, and have several versions of the same file, whatever, right? You can process it from there, and presumably the location of that image. I believe this was the first one. Let's rename it, and I believe it was an image. I believe it was a JPEG, and we can use the location, right, of where it's supposed to be, right, to actually retrieve it from the client. Right, so we go to localhost and we say /uploads, and then there's the image right there, right, which we uploaded. If we click on it, notice that even though we know it's an image. Is it doing something? Okay, it downloaded it, right? Because it doesn't have the extension, it doesn't know its original type, right? So it just downloads it. It doesn't know the MIME type. So we can rename it. I believe this was the image. I believe it was a JPEG. Was it? So if we refresh, and so the JPEG, maybe it's not a JPEG. Maybe the other one was a JPEG. Let's upload one that we know it's a JPEG. How's that? So let's see, we can upload, what's this? What type is this? Great, it doesn't say the type. Oh, yeah, file was a PNG, you're right. PNG, and we're going to upload. And it copied it here, right? So let's rename that, and let's do a PNG at the end, PNG. We can go here and refresh and click on that, and indeed we have the original file. So this is what should be actually stored as the URL attribute of your widget. See that? So that when the widget gets re-rendered, right, on the browser, it's referencing images back on the server. Make sense? So some URLs, some images will have URLs that go out to the web to fetch images. Some will load to here on the local file system. Make sense? All right? Okay.